for us.
That's a very standard scenario, and you see a lot of that with people just like going in with just pure Marine medevac, for example,
Yeah.
because even though the Zerg will kill the Marines, they'll spread their Marines so well that it's actually pretty cost efficient because the Marines only cost minerals.
Right.
Which is really the whole purpose why Zerg usually always has to stay way ahead in bases. They get a much faster third than a Terran, and that helps them keep up. They get a faster fourth than the Terran gets a third, kind of thing. So they always try to stay up in bases, and it's really also important to take Terran's third out. Like if you just allow, like for example, if you just keep trading armies, and then Terran slowly taking a base, like after every trade or something, because he knows you have to rebuild an army or something. Well, you have to stop that base from going down. So it's like you need to, make sure you're holding the Zilnaga towers. Let's use on like Metalopolis or your cross map or something. You need to see where his army is. You need to have good overlord spread along like places where it's pretty easy to get vision of. And you need to be able to see that. And when you get that extra base and get that extra economy, you make sure you shut down Terran's third. Because I think like third base for Terran is like the part where they kick into overdrive. Because they can produce so many Marines so quickly.
Yeah.
And that's really all they need. It's like Marine medevac and a siege tank here or there. And they can keep going pretty cost efficient versus the mutiling baneling style.
Right. Yeah. I can relate with that. Nothing is more frustrating for me than playing against like a Terran running like 12 reactor barracks where he's just literally rallying down the map, and it's just more stuff than I can deal with. Definitely rage-inducing. So let's ask one more question before we jump in and get some games going.
All right.
We're in a late game situation. We've gotten through the first 2 stages of the game. The map is split. At this point, the Terran player is not he can't just make pure Marine. So he's got some tanks. He might have a couple Thors, Marines, medevacs, maybe a few Marauders sprinkled in as well. Basically, it's the situation of you have this big, huge static army, and then I'm in this position where I just can't attack into it. I know that the advice is, be mobile, harass, spread the Terran player out. How the hell do you do that though when the map's completely split? There's planetaries everywhere, and it's just it's difficult to find that opening.
What would like the Zerg's army composition be?
Well, we're probably talking about Lings and Banes, obviously, maybe 20 mutas, possibly a few brood lords here and there, a couple infestors would be great. I mean, just a typical late game composition.
It's really hard when Zerg gets in the half map versus half map, and Terran has like all these static units. Like just a siege tank line. Vikings sitting over top of like Planetary Fortress at the gold on Metalopolis, for example, or something. That just makes it really hard for Zerg to attack into. And like the best way to do it is really to shut down all their stuff that they need. Like Terran can't reinforce near as quickly as Zerg. Like Zerg can throw away units and be maxed instantly at the late game stage because they have just so many larvae. Right. Like the production capability is not the issue. It's obviously the income. So, and with Terran, it's kind of the opposite. Usually Terran gets all this income, but they can only produce so fast. I mean, we're not going to have 30 factories or something to produce 30 tanks at a time or something silly like that. So we're still going to have 3 or 4 factories, a couple of starports, and then we're going to have like our 10 racks or something. But that's not near as fast. It would take like 3 or 4 rounds of units to get maxed again after I lost all my army.
Right, versus one big injection.
Versus versus you hold down Z and you're maxed or something like that, And
damn, Zerg is so easy.
Darn. Man, what was I thinking coming to StarCraft 2 switching my race? Man, that was a mistake. But back on topic. And so really the key is most Terrans, even late game when they have the map split, unless you're just like giving them a lot of time just to sit, they're not going to have like turret rings around their base. They're not going to have like Vikings patrolling everywhere. There are places that you can drop. You can Nidus Worm. You can do these kind of things to split the Terran up. Like, and that's how it actually has to happen. It doesn't matter if you have 2 Nidus Worms and 6 Overlords full of units. Like, you have to attack and split them up. And sure, those units are going to die, but they're going to have to send units somewhere to defend. And while that happens, it starts creating weak points slowly. And I usually see people, like when I lose those scenarios, that's all they do. They just literally harass every place of me to where I just have to keep bringing units away from my so-called static defense to where they actually have enough to eventually crush it, because it's like my army will kill off, it'll save my 6 o'clock base, and then I'll kill off some of the stuff at my my main, but I'll be supply blocked because I lost some supply depots. And then you're already back maxed while I have some of my army, even if it's only like 12 marauders or something, just some random number in my main and 12 marauders. I mean, that's like 50 supply of food right there.
Yes.
So, and that's really the only way Zerg can really win versus that just stack defense, because just doing the whole, and not to talk bad about Machine, but he sometimes is such a macro player, he tends to forget to actually use his brain on strategies, and he's just like, I'm just gonna keep getting maxed, and I'm gonna A move this.
The most painful thing I've ever seen in my life was him in the Masters Cup attacking into QXC.
Yep.
If you can recall that, I think it was
actually what I was thinking about when I was talking about this.
Oh man, that broke my heart. I was like, no, Machine, you can't do that.
I know. But it's like.
But I mean, I've been in that situation before, and you just feel like, okay, I have to do something. Oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Let's just 1A. And then every one of your banelings melts to 2 tank shots, and
I think that's the reason Blizzard gave Zerg Nidus Worms and stuff, and they're not used near as much as they should be, because I mean you could lay like at late game you could lay like 4 of them and drop 4 at a time. I'm not going to kill all 4 of them.
Yeah.
Somewhere one of them's going to pop because they just come up so quickly.
Cool. Well, I think we should jump into some games. You have suggested that we try this Strife Crow style of Ling, Bane, and Fester, so that's what I'm going to try to do.
All right.
Obviously, well, maybe not obviously. Perhaps you do have some sort of a build order that we might want to follow, but or do you?
It's pretty standard. It's pretty straight up. I mean, all Zerg builds are revolved around reactionary play, right? So everything you do with Zerg is still like, we try to get as many drones as possible in the early game, having as few of units to hold off any kind of early aggression or anything like that. But pretty much it's like Ling, you obviously get speedlings after. I usually always see people 15 hatch. I don't know why people don't 15 hatch in this matchup, to be honest.
You feel like 15 hatch is safe and good to go?
I think unless you're on like Steps of War or something, 15 hatch is absolutely safe.
Cool. Alright.
Like, yeah.
So then we'll be going 15 hatch, we'll be getting our Zergling speed, then our lair, and then we're just going to forget about mutas until we have 3
after
bases.
our third. Yep.
Alright. Cool.
And we're going to have 2 evolution chambers, and yep, all good.
Now, maybe you can talk to us a little bit about the Evo timing.
Okay.
Well,
I think a good Evo timing would be after you start your Baneling speed. You could probably have 2 evolution chambers starting to build then, and then you would, your third could either be going. It depends on how fast of a third you want to take, which usually depends on what Zerg sees Terran do. Like some Zergs take a really fast third if they 2 racks fast expand, for example, because there is a long timing window between. It's like with 2 racks opening. Terran can be really aggressive in the beginning, but then there's this long stage after you get Ling speed to where I actually have to be defensive, because there's still there's so many builds like the 2 base mass Ling Baneling
style
and stuff.
Baneling,
yeah. Right. So there's this long period of time to where I have to have stim and medevacs before I can move out again.
Cool. All right.
So it doesn't stop. So it's like Zerg can take a faster third base than most actually do.
Yeah, I really, sometimes I'm just, it's a two-way street. You have to be worried about this mid-game thing that I'm doing, but at the same time, I have to worry about other stuff that you can be doing. What if you've made 2-port Banshees? What if Blue Flame Hellions are coming as a follow? That's probably the most feared follow-up in the world for me.
Probably. Yeah, that's actually becoming more popular nowadays too.
All right. Anyway, I think we've ranted on long enough. People want to see some games,
right.
So let's jump in and play 1 or 2.
Sounds good. I'll invite you.
I think we're going to kind of cheat a little bit. I'm going to try to engage you in some dialogue to just kind of get a feel for where you are in the game.
Okay.
And I won't use it as map hacks, I promise. But
it's okay. I'm pretty sure when I was playing versus you, Jeff was telling you where my army was or something.
I promise you he wasn't. And if you don't believe it, the VOD is posted.
I miss the mutas every time. And just sit around my army. getting kind of frustrated. I was like, my God.
Oh man, that game on Metalopolis made me want to cry. I was like, oh my god, I'm about to beat LZ, and then I lost.
Yeah. And then I built Marines.
Exactly. Actually, I think it was one Thor that soaked up the hit of about 40 Banelings.
Oh my gosh.
It was sweet.
Those are called hero Thors right there.
No, those are called Terran Thors.
Those are the best kind of Thors, though, right?
I suppose. Oh man. Yeah, you know, I just that's probably one of my bigger frustrations as a Zerg player playing against a Terran player is just finishing the game. I can't tell you how many times I've been ahead and then just not been able to finish the game.
I think a lot of times Zergs wait too long to finish the game. It's like they just want to max out or something. They want to have like 5 bases, and they're just like giving Terran all this time to get more and more siege tanks when they could have actually finished the game a long time ago or something.
Well, see, that's an interesting statement because a lot of the dialogue Zerg players hear, especially from top-level players, is, okay, you're ahead, get ahead more. Not
I know, I hear that a lot.
not
But
go win.
there's
Yeah.
different scenarios when that occurs, too. It's not like, alright, you're ahead, so get ahead more, but let Terran have the gold while you take 2 more bases, It's like, no, you just chill on your 4 base and you make sure Terran doesn't get a 3rd, and you win the game.
Okay. That's important advice.
Yeah. I think it's pretty key advice, especially on this map. Like, if Terran gets a gold, I mean, that's like 2 bases for Terran because we have mules that are just like, we'll just call them map hacks. We'll just call them hacks in general.
Game hacks.
Yeah. So they're pretty good, I'm not going to lie. Mules are good.
So you are one of Idra's teammates, so I have to ask you, what was your feeling in the Jinro games? I'm sure you've seen them.
I thought it was a waste of my life. I stayed up to watch that at like 6 in the morning or something dumb.
Oh no.
Yeah. And then it was like bunker rushes and 4 pulls, or 6 pulls, sorry.
Man.
And I was just like, man, that was terrible.
My heart broke a little when Idra GG'd so fast on that Metalopolis game.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that. I mean, I've lost from that scenario before. Yeah, it's hard, but you still can lose.
Alright, so there, I just saw your SCV poke up. I'm going to send a drone down to... Oh, there he is. Do you think it's worth my while to chase this drone around?
Well, 2 depots don't block the bottom. It takes now 2 bunkers, I think, to block the bottom, right?
Right.
So, and on this map, the rush distance is like, it's pretty slim to none. Like, the odds of me rushing you. With just like the initial bunker rush, that is.
Right. I need to get my head in the game. Alright. So I actually kind of did not drone scout, which is a mistake, so I am going to...
It's okay, that's what happens when you talk and play.
Make lings?
Mistakes are bound to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to make lings.
Those are pretty important, I hear.
Those are pretty key to surviving the early game. Queens are not so good versus Marines.
No, they're not. Which is unfortunate, because they're so cool.
They are pretty good versus air, though, I must say.
Couldn't agree more. Back up, Queen.
We require more Vespine gas.
Alright, so let's find those Marines. So it looks like you just kind of backed off.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. I mean, a spine crawler came up, I saw a lot of eggs morphing into something. Like, the only thing it could be is, like, odds are at least, is Zerglings, right? And I don't want to lose my 5 Marines for nothing. I might as well just pull them back, get a better reinforcement, and then continue the pressure later on.
How much of your time do you dedicate to just keeping pressure on the Zerg in this situation?
It's It's kind of important, but it really depends on the opening. So it's like if you open more economical, like fast expansion, Terran has a longer window to where they can put more pressure on.
Dies.